I literally went from having no money at all, basically just trying to survive, to 6 months later having more money than I knew what to do with. And actually, I'd read somewhere that if you had $5 million, you were economically independent for the rest of your life. And I'd by that time accumulated more than that.
And you're
And
22, right? At the
yeah,
time. Yeah.
I was exactly 22.
This is the dream, right? You've made it.
Yeah.
You should be as happy as anyone. This is what everyone aspires to.
Yeah, exactly right. And for me, it was like even more so because I literally came from the projects in Sweden. Like I had no money at all. I was growing up with my single mom, and on top of that, I had this winter where I sort of between 2000 and 2004 and 5, where things were really rough. Like you were basically just trying to survive paycheck to paycheck and doing whatever jobs you could to pay your rent, basically. And so obviously I had this kind of dream of one day maybe I can get to this level. And I thought maybe if I work really hard, I could get there. If I'm lucky, 50, and then I'm going to retire, and so on and so forth. And obviously here I was 22, and I reached that milestone. And and it sounds perhaps a little bit sort of obnoxious to say it, but as a society, we're fighting to get to that limit of economic independence. But no one actually talks about what happens when you get there. As a society, we're fighting to get to that limit of economic independence. But no one actually talks about what happens when you get there. Instead, you're just hearing from these rich people how like money doesn't mean that much, and so on. Well, it certainly does if you have none. I can tell you that. And they don't really teach you what to do and what actually matters. So it feels like a very foreign concept, where you're like, you're thinking that they say that out of a sort of false humility when in fact, they're probably very happy about having it, and they probably are to a certain extent. But to a certain extent, they were right. But no one taught you that. And for me, as a funny sort of side note, I actually learned how to speak English through watching MTV, and my favorite program at that time was like Yo MTV, which is the rap part. And so you watch MTV Cribs, and you watch kind of all of these like great places that these rappers are living in and rock stars are living in, and it's always these kind of filled fridges with like all the drinks in different colors and like all that stuff. And so I was like, I made it. This is the life. So now I'm finally going to be able to get to the really cool nightclubs. I'm going to get all the girls that I could never get beforehand, and I'm going to be one of the cool people. And I thought literally for a while that would make me happy. And so I spent a bunch of time doing that, spraying champagne on people in central Stockholm. I try to hook up with the girls I could never get before, somewhat embarrassingly. And some of them you could actually succeed with. But I realized that, they didn't want me for me. They wanted me for the status that it provided, and because I probably offered them free champagne and hung around the cool people. And I realized many of these people probably wouldn't be there unless I had money. And that got me to be pretty depressed because, again, I didn't get into tech to get rich in the first place. And I, it wasn't one of the things that made me happy either. So tech in itself made me happy. Music made me happy. And so I went on a number of months of soul searching of what I really wanted to do. And I realized up until that point in my life, there's basically been two interests in my life. One was music and one was technology. And I was thinking about that, and during the same time, I met my co-founder, and we started spending more time because he had just left the company that acquired my other company, and we started hanging out together. And he had made an IPO, and he made even more money than I made, by an order of magnitude more. And he too was quite depressed because he too didn't have anything really that tied him up. And so we talked about maybe we should do something new. Maybe we should do something that is different. And what we centered around was really these three core concepts. We wanted to do something that we thought, we could get passionate by. We wanted to do it with people we could learn from. and 3, we wanted to have fun while doing it, and have a positive impact in the world. Those were the kind of 3 things. And he said, what are you really passionate about? And I said, well, really, I'm passionate about music and technology. That's my 2 kind of main passions. And he said, well, why don't we do that?